Thank you all for coming out today. To the rabbis that are present, to all of my fellow Republicans, it is my great honor to welcome you to the Republican National Committee's first Jewish Engagement Office, and it all starts right here in Boca Raton, Florida.
That is Mike Pence working there with the RNC. That's one of the parts of the Republican Party that is not actively seeking his death. And there he is announcing this community center opening up in Boca Raton. He said there it's the first Jewish community center that the RNC is opening up, but it is not the first or the only community center. If you look at the headlines, you can find in Orange County, they had the RNC launch its first Asian Pacific American Center. This is back in July of last year. In Pembroke, North Carolina, they opened a community center. In Jacksonville, Florida, they opened a what they're calling a Black community center there. And these are, from all evidence, they are sort of designed to be normal community centers. You can go there and you can get movie nights and free dinners and holiday parties or gun safety training. That's the most like sort of right-wing political thing that they do there, but there's local organizers and the RNC helps to fund these things. They've dedicated millions of dollars to these different community centers. Of course, at the same time, it is the RNC. And so in theory, after providing these social services, they then can potentially influence those voters. And we know how powerful that close interaction, the direct one-to-one interaction with potential voters can be. So look, maybe, Adrienne, this is a totally just honest thing where they want to give back specifically to the Jewish community, Asian American, Pacific Islander community, the Black community. Maybe it's more political than that, but they've been doing this. And honestly, up until when I saw this article on The Prospect, I did not know that any of this was happening.
Well, they aren't trustworthy. So I really do not believe that the thought that they're trying to uplift these communities as much as they're trying to infiltrate them, with misinformation, disinformation, anything that will hopefully get them more votes. And so it's very disconcerting, especially if they're targeting elderly communities in some way. But I would not put it past them.
Yeah, I mean, look, definitely. The thing is, at the same time, like they're finally giving back. Like this is like the one thing that the Republican Party will do to help people is like a showing of like Moana or Suicide Squad or something, and then like a pancake breakfast or something. But look, here's the thing: it is if your reaction upon seeing this is that is insidious, it's because it's kind of a good idea for them actually providing services to people that will want that community building and all that, bringing in local activists. It's obviously for just really nasty political ends, but it's pretty clever on their part. It's also secretive, to be fair. There are no individual websites for each of these outposts or even a collective website that lists them. The RNC's homepage features only a camouflage search bar that can be prodded to give up the location of your nearest branch. And there's an interactive map that advertises various regional outreach events. There's some addresses, but there's no contact information, no phone numbers, no emails, no names. Nothing. That seems weird. It seems like you'd want that information to be available. I don't know why they would hide that. I don't know if it's a funding thing or what. I don't know if any of these are going to exist after the midterm elections. One would imagine they would want to keep it going, but I don't know. Like, should the Democrats be doing this? Would you caution communities that maybe engaging with this isn't in their best interests, or what would your approach be, Adrienne?
No, I think it's interesting. So in terms of why they don't have websites and all this stuff, on a website, if it's because of it's part of an organization, you need to acknowledge that. So any LLCs or anybody who's funding it has to be designated on that site. And I got to figure out who I'm going to sue if something goes down. That's essentially what I'm thinking. And they don't want you to figure out who truly is backing this stuff, who's paying for it, and also to be able to contact them. That's what that communicates to me. And so, yeah, I think it'd be great if the Democrats did something like this. Without a doubt, it's just I'm definitely very concerned with whatever insidious business that the RNC is doing on the ground floor. But I do think that there are people out there who are going to see the RNC and the Republican Party as something positive as a result of these efforts.
Yeah, I think so. And meanwhile, if the Democrats were to set up something like this, it would at the very least be declared to just be propaganda, which look, in practice, it probably would have a component of that. But also probably grooming too, considering that we're in 2022. That's what would happen. And really fast, I want to go through some of why this might be significant going forward. So there's an off-cited study from political scientists Alan Gerber and Don Green, says that one face-to-face conversation can boost a voter's likelihood of going to the polls by up to 20%. So in a close race, that could be significant, especially in this case. These are community centers, some of which have been started a year and a half before the midterm elections. So they've had a lot of time to sort of build up their profile in the community and meet a lot of people. And I wanted to go to a quote from Chuck Rocha, who we've brought on the show many times. He says this is really smart politics because they have unlimited money and support. They can go in and put these community centers up with the facade that they care about the community. What they're really trying to do is spend a bunch of money just to get 3 or 4 more % of the black or brown vote. And yeah, I think that there's a good chance that that might work. Obviously, there's been attempts over the past few years in the wake of the 2012 election. There was that postmortem about how the right should try to be more appealing to Latino voters, and they immediately dispensed with that and decided to go with Trump. But Trump did better among some non-white communities than past Republicans did. So I don't know. This is a more positive version of that attempting to peel off some voters than some of what I have seen from them. But anyway, any final thoughts, Adrienne?
Yeah, I definitely think that it may be a good look for the Republican Party, in part because I do think Trump sullied a lot in terms of his appearance, how he talked about people, how he interacted with people, and the Republican Party is trying to at least appear to be somewhat sensible in return from that. And so having more of a ground floor approach, even if it is wholly misrepresentative of their actual intentions, it's something that will probably end up working in their benefit.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.